There we go. There we go. Well, hello and welcome. So, as I've just given you a quick explanation, what this is going to be is just a really quick overview of what was covered in week 4 of the original Rebel Finance course with Alan and Katie. So we're going to be looking at understanding yourself, others, how they interrelate with each other, and how to stay on track through your savings journey. So let's have a look here. To go to one of Alan's favorite sayings, everything you want in life is done with and through other people. And it's true in all of this, because if you want to earn money, you've got to interact with other people. If you want to save money, you've got to interact with other people, because they will enable you to be able to do your savings and your investments and everything else that you need to do. So it's important that we actually communicate and help other people to understand maybe why it is we're going on this journey. Now, one thing to say, actually, I'll save it till later. I'll save it till later because it's a kind of a bit of a key thing. But communicating and telling people about what you're doing it and why you're doing it, some people might not understand it. But because it's been a bit of a break, just going to quickly have a look at those initial steps on how to get wealthy. So first of all, know where you are. So do your monthly net worth planner, so you know currently where you are, how you're doing, and are you in debt? Are you break even? Are you positive? Are you saving? How are things looking? Because if you don't measure it, you don't know which direction you're generally headed in. And also to know where you are, your monthly spending and saving and all those sorts of things. And we'll have a quick recap on that one later, just to see a nice easy way to keep a monitor on how you're doing. Make sure you have your emergency fund, make sure you've paid off your expensive debt, increase your emergency fund if you can, and then start investing. Now, number 5 and number 6, as Katie would love to say, it's not binary. You can actually do both of them at the same time. So you could be putting some into investing and some into your emergency fund to increase that at the same time. Then also important is to have a strategy for your future, because once you've reached your FIRE number, or once you're getting close to it, it's really worthwhile knowing what you want to do next. And apart from anything else, by knowing what you want to do next, you can plan and you can budget and you can actually work out what your FI number, what target you're actually aiming for. Because it may work out that actually, once you get to your FI number, you're going to reduce your expenditure because you might be going off to Thailand to live or South America to live, and you don't need as much money as you do to live in the UK or in America or in Australia or any of those places where people who were on the Rebel Finance course were coming from. So, and covering all of this these steps is your money philosophy. So your background to money, how you feel about money, where your stories about money have come from, and all of that sort of thing, which goes along with understanding yourself and other people, which is what we're going to look at in the section today. And also we're going to just quickly review the tracking your progress as well. So here we go. The first step is to understanding. First of all, your partner, if you have one, if you're not living on your own, so your partner, your fiance, your spouse, whatever it might be, understand their feelings towards money as well. And then the slightly broader team of people, maybe you've got kids, maybe you've got other members of the family that you live with or you interact with a lot, or those people that you talk to a lot. So maybe if you're a student, you've got a whole bunch of student friends who you spend a lot of time talking to. So it's well worth all understanding where you're headed. And of course, family is important, and yourself. A lot of people in life actually don't actually know where they're headed, where they're coming from, where their stories come from. So once you've looked at your money beliefs and everything, that might actually reveal something to you about your own history, about those own stories that are running around in your head that make you you, which are defining your actions and your beliefs. One really interesting thing, I came across this saying today, is a lot of people don't actually listen to understand. And that includes to your internal voice. You're not listening to the internal voice. That's okay, Sarah, no worries. You're not actually listening to your internal voice properly because you already know what you want to respond to it. But unless you listen to that voice in your head and say to it, okay, well, where's that coming from? Where's that story? Where's that belief coming from? Then you can't, it's very difficult to move on from it and to create a new reality, a new set of beliefs for yourselves. So it's very important to listen to yourself and to everybody around you in a conscious way. And alas, money is one of the biggest reasons for divorce. So you have to listen. As I mentioned, make sure you have a vision for life. Make sure you know what you want to do. Make sure you know what's important for you, because once you know these things, it becomes a lot easier to sort of fashion a life that you're happy with. And the whole point of, and if there's more than one of you, of course, is to do that together, because it's important that if there's two of you or more, we're living in a modern society, who's to say, it's fine for you. It's very important for you that you have a common main thread for any joint people involved in that relationship. I mean, it's also very good to have separate interests and separate sort of bits of life to follow, but generally the main important things like finances, kids, housing, travel, all those sorts of things, you want to try and make sure you're on the same page with. So let's have a look at the various different alignment levels, starting sort of from the top down. So as you can see, we've got a whole bunch of different things here. Just really, it's worth going through these things and kind of just checking, do they support what you are trying to achieve? So your environment, for example, here it says, you know, if you're trying to save money, do you spend a lot of time going out to pubs and clubs and buying lots of drinks and being very generous towards other people and all that sort of stuff? Or do you spend time inviting people round to your house for dinner and having drinks and fun and doing stuff at home, which can still be brilliant and great fun, and it doesn't cost quite so much as actually going out and doing it? I mean, you can have a very good meal in for, you know, a quarter of the price of going out for it. So it's worth kind of thinking, does your environment support your goals? So I did some of my sort of visions for life. What sort of things did I want to achieve? And I want to make sure I have connection. I want to have connection with family, with friends, and especially with my 3 kids. I want to make sure that I'm there for them. I can help them. I can spend time with them. I can talk to them and really connect to them. I want to aim towards financial independence so that I'm not so, you know, I'm not worried about money. I'm happy with where I am. To give me sort of the ability to go and have experiences. I want to create memories, especially with kids and with friends. You know, it took me quite a while, but finally I sort of reached a point in life where I've realized actually it's not about stuff. We have too much stuff and we're constantly being sold stuff. And wherever you go, people are going, oh, you need this stuff, or you should have that stuff. And it's like, why? I don't need it. And of course, there's the whole environmental and sustainability side of stuff, things to buying more stuff. But I'm kind of like, actually, why? What I find more important is to spend time with the ones that I love and to do things with them. So that's important. Now, the financial independence, I believe, also gives me choice over what I do. So if I find that I'm doing something that I don't want to be doing, like I'm doing work that I don't want to be doing or something like that, then with financial independence, you can go, yeah, okay, I don't like that. I want to go and do this. I want to do a different job. I want to take time out to go and learn something, or I want to travel here. I want to see this and that. It gives you more choice. So it's very worthwhile. And as I said, the aspect of not having to have a job as such. Or if you do still have to work, you can work a lot less because you know that you've got some income which will cover part of what you've earned at least. It'll give you an opportunity to volunteer and share. I mean, two of the things that I'm really interested in doing, you can see on the left-hand side there, is I really want to go out and I want to help communities to bring fresh water to them. I want to help bring sort of solar power and light and things to them, because they're two very basic fundamental things which can improve the quality of life so much very quickly and actually quite easily. So it's very worthwhile looking at. And as part of all of that, I want to also get into traveling to those places, going to those communities, learning about them, and being able to share that with other people when I sort of come back to the UK or wherever. So, you know, go out and experience these projects and then come back and share those, you know, go to primary schools or secondary schools and talk about different parts of the world, what different people are doing, what different places are like, because, you know, we don't kind of realize how by accident of birth, by being in the UK or generally any of the sort of Western countries, how lucky we are. So people should know about those sorts of things, and this would give you the opportunity to be able to do it. So, you know, again, for yourself, maybe go in and just have a vision plan for what it is, what really speaks to you, what really you would like to do. And by doing your saving, by doing your investing, that will give you the empowerment, it will give you the access to be able to do that. So you really need to know what your target is. And I kind of worked out that I needed to have about £750,000 invested, which should give me about £30,000 a year using the sort of 4% rule. So the 4% rule, just as a quick recap, is take the amount you have invested, multiply it by 4%, and that will give you approximately the amount you should be able to take out each year without affecting your capital balance. Your capital should stay the same, or even hopefully increase a little bit. So hopefully that's the plan. The other way you can go about that is if you know the number that you want, so in my case, 30K a year, you can take that number and multiply it by 25, which will give you that 750. So that's what I'm aiming for. So if you needed £40,000 a year, you'd want to have £1 million invested. So, and if you're a couple, if there's two of you, then, you know, that might be split 750, 250, or it might be 500, 500. It can be balanced in different ways. But if you know your goal, if you know where you're headed for, you can then use the calculators to help you make that plan to see how long it's going to take you to get there. And if you think that's too long, you are then, you know, you then have in your head this, okay, I've got two options: either accept it's going to take me longer than I really want it to, or minimize my expenses, or increase my income. Those are three different things that you can do there. It is important though to take that big target. I mean, that target to me is kind of like, whew, it's like, wow, that's a lot of money. Okay, so how am I ever going to get that? Well, if I got big chunks like that big ladder on the right, you know, you kind of feel like, oh, can't even do that first step. I can't even get up that first rung. So it is important that you make it these smaller steps. Set yourself a monthly spending goal, set yourself a savings goal, and then have these small sort of steps along the way. So things like just looking at, can I save £10 this month, or £50 this month, or £100 this month, and gradually see if you can increase it. Can I earn an extra £50 this month, you know, those sorts of things. Can I clear something out of the attic? You know, go and clear some of the stuff that's in the house that I don't really need. Stick it on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, or does anyone use eBay anymore? I don't know. I think it's mostly Facebook Marketplace now. Sorry, bear me a second. Righty. So yes, but to come back to talking to the people around you and believing in yourself, this is the thing. It isn't easy, because a lot of people around you will probably go, "Oh, why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? You know, it's a crazy thing to do. Just come out and have fun and do this and do that, and don't worry about tomorrow." But it's interesting to compare your beliefs. So you might remember, before the course was run, there was a sort of a pre-work survey. So it's worth going back and doing that again, and also maybe printing out a copy of it, and then you can talk about it with the people that you are involved with. But also to sit by yourself and to get into your own head and to do some journaling or writing a letter or write an email. Maybe, I don't know, it's modern day, you can write an email. Or all these things that get out of your head and onto a piece of paper how you feel about money and how it all goes. And if possible, share it with those closest to you, if they are involved in the process. Now, if they are not interested in the slightest, it's probably not a great thing to do, because they'll just probably poo-poo on it and say, think you're absolutely crazy and bonkers, and why are you doing it, and all this sort of stuff. So it's a good idea to do it with somebody who actually supports what you're doing. And if you haven't got any family that believe in it, if you haven't got any friends that believe in it, if you're living in this total sort of unicorn world as far as everybody else is concerned, then, you know, do find somebody, most likely from the Rebel Finance group, and find people with commonalities. That we've got thousands of people in there now, so there are going to be people in similar situations to you that you can just put a post in there and say, hey, I want a finance buddy. Is there someone out there who would like to pair up with me, and we can just chat and talk things over and help each other through the journey. One little interesting exercise to do, hopefully you remember this from the course, was to look at these 4 different scales as to how you think towards money. So the first one is, are you a saver or a spender? I think I'm mostly a saver. I think I try and spend not a lot of money, but then occasionally I'll have a bit of a splurge. So I'm not a total saver. So I think I'm probably about there. In terms of living, I know for a fact that I spend so much of the time in my head thinking about where I'm going and pretty much putting everything off almost to some point, which does drive my saving, because I'm like, well, I want to do these things, so I'm going to save for it. And in terms of how I'm moving, I'm definitely moving towards that. You know, I've created a picture of the future that I want to live in. I've created a picture of where I want to be, and I'm definitely moving towards what I've planned from rather than away from anything. I personally, I do think it is very important for people from a psychological point to be able to sort of come to terms with everything that's happened in their past, to take ownership for everything that's happened in their past, for all the choices you've made, and to kind of go, yeah, okay, well, I made those choices. They might not always have been good ones. I certainly know I haven't always made good ones. And to kind of go, okay, that's fine. I can't change what's happened. What I can do is I can now put in motion how I want the future to be. And you can control, you can build your future. So that is a really important thing to focus on. Then we come to the big picture and detail. And this can be somewhere that communication falls down in relationships and things again, is because one partner might be really focused on the minutiae, the kind of the small detail, the every little step of how to do something, and someone else is just like, yeah, I want to go on holiday this year, but and then the detail person comes back and says, yeah, but you want to go on holiday, but we've got to plan this and we've got to do that and we've got to write lists for everything we've got to take, and we've got to make sure we've got absolutely everything planned out. And both of those are fine. All of those different ways of being are absolutely fine. But it's important that you know where you're coming from, you know where whoever else is involved in your life is coming from, so that when you're communicating, you can both kind of go, oh yeah, okay, well, you know, this is me, this is how I am on these things, this is you, this is how you're thinking. That's fine. But when we're communicating, let's just make sure that we know that, so that we can head in the same direction together. So there we go. As it says, oh, it's not about being the same, it's about understanding each other and working together. And the other thing to know about this FI and the savings and the investing and everything is, it is, as it says, it's not for deprivation. Yeah. If you're missing out on stuff, why would you do that? If you're missing out on weddings, you're not getting this. You know, if you're not doing things which would make you happy, that's not what this is about. What we want to try and tell you is, you can save and invest, but create yourself a lifestyle, create yourself an environment that you are happy with. If you're saving slowly, you're saving slowly. That's fine. If you're saving quickly because you can, that's also fine. Whatever works for you to still live a life that you're happy with. You don't have to live in a van, eat gruel and wear sandals. You know, you can have a very fulfilled life whilst going through the savings process. Okay, it might take a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, you know, if you're wearing sackcloth and dragging chains around with you, you're not really living much of a life whilst you're doing it, unless you're into that sort of thing, and some people are. So, you know, we'll have to see how it goes. So hopefully you remember that back, oh gosh, it's months ago now. It seems so long ago, way before Christmas. We talked about one of the important things was to know what your gap is. Now, the gap is the difference between your income and your expenditure. And ideally, you want to maximize that by decreasing your spending, increasing your income, and making your gap as big as you can, so you can increase what's called your savings rate. Once you've got that, and you know what your expenditures are going to be when you reach FI, then you can predict how long it is that you're going to need to work for. And we'll come back to that another week. As I mentioned at the beginning, it's important to keep track of your numbers to know which direction you're headed in. So your monthly finance meeting, figure out who you're going to do it with. And, you know, if you're in a partnership, if you're with, it might just be a friend, it might, then do it together with somebody, because accountability is brilliant for keeping you on track. The easiest person to let down is yourself. Okay, it's so easy to kind of go, oh, I want to get fit and healthy, but there's some biscuits in the cupboard. Yeah, I think I'll have those today and then I'll get fit and healthy tomorrow. However, if you've committed to somebody else that you're going to do a certain thing, you know, maybe you're going to run a 5K or a half marathon or whatever with them, then you'll go, actually, yeah, no, I don't need those biscuits today, because let's go for a little run instead or something. So similar sort of thing, finance meeting, make a recurring invite. So you've got it in the calendar, this time, this date, every month, we're going to have our little meeting, get your numbers updated for your net worth, your spending, and you know how all of your bits fit together. So, for example, I've tracked my net worth since, was it July 2020? So since I did the first Rebel Finance course, and you can see it's been a bit of an up and a downwards journey there. Now, it wouldn't have been quite so up and down if I had just kind of done what I probably should have done in the first place, which was just to put everything into a Vanguard index fund rather than messing around and trying to pick a few stocks and pick a bit of this and pick a bit of that. And needless to say, didn't do brilliantly out of that. I will admit, there's a couple of things I picked which are down about 96% over when I bought them. Fortunately, I only put a little bit of money into those, so it's not too bad. The majority of everything that I've done has gone into the sort of Vanguard Global ex-UK sort of fund. So, but I mean, generally, the trend is pretty much upwards. And yeah, there were those bad months between sort of January 22 and August 22 when the whole market went down again, which is a good point to buy some more. And now it's starting to pick back up, which is great. So regards monthly spending, I use a nice little app called Money Dashboard. So what that does is at the end of each month, it enables me to sort of see how much I've spent, and it breaks it down into different segments. So I can then zoom in and go, oh, I've spent that much on this. Why was that? Yeah, that's okay. That was spending correctly. That was what it was supposed to be, and all that sort of stuff. As you can see, spending went up for Christmas, as it did. And I actually bought some other bits for the house just before Christmas, some replacement heaters and that sort of stuff. So that was a bit of big extra expenditure there. But using a tool, something like Money Dashboard, is very handy. You can just link it to your account and it will automatically suck everything in and try and allocate it to different things for you. So when you are doing your monthly spending review, it's worth looking at a few things. Did you spend how much you expected to spend? And one good way to do this is to have a spreadsheet with your monthly expenditure on it. You know, have your bills on there, have your budgets for how much you expect to spend on food or going out for entertainment or birthdays and all that sort of stuff, so that you can say, okay, well, this is what I actually spent. This is what I expected to spend. Is there something that surprised me? You know, if you expect every 18 months to go to the opticians, have a sight test and need to buy a new pair of glasses, which is going to cost you, I don't know, £200-300, then have you got that budgeted? You know, because it's not a surprise if you know it's going to happen every 18 months. You know? It's amazing still how many people are surprised by birthdays and Christmas. You know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, unexpected expenditure. Christmas came along. I tell you what, I think that happens quite regularly. So do make sure that you kind of have that budgeted. Next question is, are you spending in line with your values? So we did a values exercise way back when. It might be worth just revisiting it again. You know, what's important to you? What do you feel are things that you would like to be part of your life? Also, it's always worth just thinking, is there somewhere you could spend a little bit less? Now, if you've done this month on month, then chances are there's not, because you'll have kind of cut it back as much as you want while still having fun. So there's the opposite side, which is spending a little bit more. Have you cut back too much on having fun? Have you cut back too much on creating memories, on creating special things, especially if you've got kids? You know, they're only little for a very short amount of time. And by little, I mean under 25. So, you know, they're only small for such a short period of time. So it is very much worthwhile creating those memories with them whilst they're still in the nest, as it were. Also, what went well this month? What can you congratulate yourself for? It's so important to celebrate, you know, even the small wins. Oh, I managed to put an extra 25 quid into my savings account this month. Yay, that's good. You know, what went well this month? What was a waste of money? Oh, bought some plastic that I didn't really need. Yeah, those extra heaters that I bought for the flat, I then decided that actually I bought the wrong ones, so I sent them back. So I'm getting a refund for them this week, which is it's good. And then I'll buy the right ones. Are you happy with the general direction of your net worth? Now, this is an interesting one, because obviously you cannot decide which direction the markets are going to go in, and they will go down as well as going up. So during those periods of last year, and I think even the last 2 months ago, my net worth went down because the markets had gone down. However, because I'd put some money into savings, and because I could see generally what was happening in other areas of my net worth because of the net worth tracking I was doing, so I could see I didn't have any debt and all that sort of stuff. I was still pretty happy with where everything was sitting, and was kind of like, yeah, okay, no, that's fine. And because my net worth's down, even though I'm still saving, that sort of told me that I knew the markets were down a little bit. So I actually put in a little bit extra, just because knowing that they're going to be going back up again. And how does my spending compare to last month? It's worthwhile just keeping an eye. Is it going up? Is it going down? If you know there are odd expenses which have crept in on that month, which you're expecting, like birthdays, which do come along every year, then, that's okay. But it's worth just being able to sort of know that that's all right. It's like getting on the scales. It's like, yeah, I went out at the weekend and had a binge on burgers and chicken wings and all this sort of stuff because we had a big barbecue at a friend's, which was a great laugh. Yeah, I put on a bit of extra weight. Okay, that's fine. But, knowing that you've done that, you can now take steps to rectify that if you so desire, or you can carry on in that direction. So yeah, are there things to celebrate? Celebration is so important. So staying on track, easiest way is with accountability. Friends, partners, whoever it is you can talk to, have that monthly meeting, have some fun. As Alan and Katie do every month, they go out for a fabulous breakfast. Although I don't know if you've seen Alan posting on Facebook, then you will know that pretty much every day they go out for a good breakfast. Or they're doing something around food. Alan does love his food, bless him. And I must admit, I'm in the same camp. I very much enjoy food too. But yeah, make it fun. Make it fun. If you're like Katie, then crunch those numbers, create those spreadsheets, make those graphs, and there we go. And as it says, if you are working with a partner, if you are working with friends who find it difficult, then make it fun in some other way. So some homework for you if you've not done it already. Hopefully you're already established on this sort of path, so you should just be able to go, yeah, tick 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 tick, done. Do choose someone to do your monthly finance meeting with. If you haven't got somebody directly in your life that you can think of to do it with, then please do go to the Rebel Finance Facebook group and just post in there, hey, I'm looking for a finance buddy. Is anybody interested in doing it with me? And then you can connect up, and if you find yourselves are in similar situations, then yeah, go for it. And I would actually highlight that in a similar situation, because you don't want somebody who is so far away from where you are financially that it becomes demoralizing, either for you or for them. So it's good to find somebody who's in a fairly similar place to you. But at the end of the day, it is your own race that you are running. You are not comparing your pineapples with anybody else's. You are growing your own pineapple to feast on. So there we go. So find someone to do it with, get it in the diary, get it recurring in the diary so that you are going to do it regularly every month, because consistency is key when we come to doing this sort of thing. And if you've got a current partner, great, good on you. Make sure you talk to them about it. And if you're taking on a new partner, then absolutely make sure you talk about finance. Maybe not as part of the first date, maybe leave it for the second or third, but it is one of those conversations you should have, just like you should talk about pets and kids and all that sort of stuff. And maybe do those 4-scale exercises. So there we go. That's the end of the presentation for this week. I am going to stop the recording and throw it open to questions.